and give the opportunity for anybody to try to mentor us and try to give us instruction on what to do and what not to do. But I have to say, in hindsight, I thank God for that, because once people did find out that we got married, the advice that we were getting from church, from family, from friends, and everybody else was divorce. Just get it annulled. Of course, we had started showing some signs of, there was something there. Everybody didn't know what it was, but they just knew that we weren't the boyfriend and girlfriend couple like we should have been, because of course we were arguing and fussing and all that at that point. So, no, not all the time.
A lot.
Yeah, but a lot. You know how you can tell when somebody's synergy is off. Like, you don't see couples holding hands and being all googly and sitting all close like y'all are today. And it's just a sign. If one person's sitting in this corner and one person's sitting in another corner, it's a sure sign that something was going wrong. So, of course, people begin to ask questions, and eventually everyone found out. I had to tell my parents, and everybody from my dad and everybody down was just like, no, just get a divorce, just walk away. But that didn't sit right with me, because for a long time we were in rehearsals singing. We had church on Tuesday nights. Then it wasn't Wednesday nights. See, we didn't have the fancy one night week Bible study. When we were coming up in church, you had Tuesday night, Friday night, and rehearsal on Thursdays and Saturdays, because Youth for Praise had rehearsals on Saturday. We were still Youth for Praise then, when we were teens at TFT. But we had rehearsal on Saturday, all day Sunday, praying and singing songs about how God can heal cancer, AIDS, all these kind of diseases, and He's just an awesome God. But then when it came to my marriage issues, it was like, He can't heal that.
Right.
So you need to go get a divorce. And that just didn't sit right with me. So then I began to look at the Bible for myself and see what marriage was to God and how important it was to God. And although we probably had a legal way, both biblically and lawfully, we had a legal way out of the marriage, it was just something that just sat heavy on me that I could not walk away. And obviously neither could he. So, and I know it was the grace of God. I know it was, because unbeknownst to me at the time, he had actually gotten some divorce papers and he had filled them out. But something kept him from going back and filing, because those days you couldn't download a form and all that like it's fancy now. You could get a divorce just like, it's just like every day. It's almost like a vending machine. You could just get a divorce. But it wasn't that easy then. He did not go and file those papers, and I believe that was the grace of God. I know it was the grace of God covering us. And did you have anything you wanted to say? See, I'm careful about letting him talk, because if I let him talk, y'all not gonna want to hear nothing. Nothing I can say, because But go ahead.
Hey, everybody. I'm so glad to be home with you all. I actually really miss you all. I love you all. And you really are family to us. So always grateful to see you. So Trina makes me like a villain. So I'm not the Joker. I'm not. No. We had some rough times in the beginning. Like she said, we had no idea what the commitment meant. And this is why we decided to go around and share our story and share the fact that you can get out of a rough time. Most of the time when you think about marriage and what you see and what's portrayed, you see a beautiful wedding, you see either you're doing well, you see Instagram photos, and then if it goes bad, you see a divorce. You don't see a lot of people that decide to stay with it. So what we wanted to do is share the fact that, yes, we did have rough times, but we stayed with it, and now we're like newlyweds. I think if more people are able to be transparent, the divorce rate will go down and the marriage rate will go up, because you don't have any people sharing the bad side. So you feel like if you're in a marriage that's not going, like if it's not roses all day, then I need to get out, because it's not going to work for us. So this is why we decided to share our story. And this is why we decided to write a book, and we are here.
Yes. And unfortunately, I don't have any books with me. But we are taking pre-orders. The books actually got shipped to the wrong address in error.
Okay.
So that's why they're not here. But if you purchase tonight, as soon as I get home, I can ship them out to you, and we'll autograph it. We'll do everything and all nice like we would have if they were here. and we'll ship them out to you. But he just said something that was so key, kind of said it. But what I found about marriage is it is the most unselfish act. Because if you are married, it's really not about you. It becomes about your spouse. Everything becomes about your spouse. And I say that in with some ease as well, because I don't want anyone to think that you lose your own personality and like you can't become the individual who you want to be. You most certainly can, but you always have to consider the other person. Whereas if you were single, you don't have to get, there's no checks and balances. You can pretty much do what you want to do when you want to do it. But once you make the lifetime commitment to being with someone, it's just like I've heard people say, and I think it is true, the best marriages are made up of two servants. Two people who are willing to serve each other at all times and at all costs, whether you feel like it or whether you don't. And we talk about feelings a lot because I think we're teaching this generation now that your feelings, the Olivers, oh no, hi, the Baileys, hi. I saw the stroller and was like automatically, here come Olivia. Hi, this is my first time seeing her.
Ava.
You are so beautiful, Ava. Aww. Congratulations, Pastor Mike. It's awesome. She's beautiful. And your wife is coming in, I guess?
Yes. No, she's actually coming from work.
Okay. Good. Awesome. So, anyway, like I think I was saying how we teach people nowadays to base everything on their feelings. If you don't like your job, if somebody makes you mad, what do we say? Leave. And now we started telling people, start your own company. You're better than that. You don't have to take what nobody says. Start your own company. If they don't like their school, quit the class, take another class. We stop teaching people how to stick to it. And that goes a long way in life, not only for jobs and everything else, but for marriage, which is a lifetime commitment. Your feelings are gonna go up and down. You heard the saying, sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Especially women, we are hormonal creatures. So we are. We're emotional, we're hormonal, we're temperamental, we're all of that. And at any given point in the day or in the week, it can either go really, really good or really, really bad.
You're losing all your friends.
I was gonna say.
I have to be honest. I have to be honest.
You got really dark.
I'm helping the gentleman out
Thank you for
here.
being transparent.
Yes, we're being
Behalf
very
of the brothers.
transparent. Yes.
And all of these heads are like this.
Jumping up.
What you see is true. You see is true. But my point in saying that is you cannot base everything, really anything, on your feelings. It has to be about your love and your commitment to each other. And that's unbreakable. And while we're at it, let's segue. Let's think about love for a second, because a lot of people equate your feelings to love. It's why one of the reasons why I got married is because I felt like I love him, because I had butterflies when I saw him. And he was just so amazing. He didn't do anything wrong when we were dating and when we were talking about getting married. I couldn't find no fault on this man. Are you kidding me?
Right.
So it's like then once you marry somebody and you start seeing little things, you're like, wait a minute, this is not what I signed up for. And then all of a sudden, your mind will make you think, oh, I must not really love them. But what does the Bible say love is? If you read in 1 Corinthians, what does the Bible say love is? Patient. Kind. What else? Keeps no account of wrong. Does it say anything about feelings? Not at all. Not at all. As a matter, just like I said, it endures all things. It suffers all things. It never fails. Love never fails. Your feelings are going to fail you. Your emotions are going to go haywire. But love is at its best when times are at their worst. Because that's the part where I have to be patient with him, even though I may not feel like it. I have to forgive, even though I may not feel like it. So let's make sure that we are always operating in love, not in feelings. Let's start picking up on the times where we can feel ourselves not in the mood for it. You know what I'm saying? Because marriage is an everyday commitment. Every day you wake up, it has to be, what can I do to please my spouse today? What can I do to make JJ happy and to make sure that he knows that I support him and that I love him? Now, we've been on this tour for about 3 weeks. If I'm being very transparent, and I don't even want to see him right now, if I'm being transparent, I can tell you that there were some days that I woke up and I was like, why are we doing this? What, like, why? Because we're just so tired and worn out, and that's when your feelings and your emotions start getting the best of you. And like, why? What are we doing this for? But then I thought about the fact that not only is that my lifetime partner, he's doing what God told him to do. And as long as he is committed to God and doing what God told him to do, I'm going to be there. Dog tired or hippopotamus happy, jumping up, I'm going to be there for him because that's what a good marriage does.
Excellent.
In spite of everything, I'm going to be there for him.
So this tour is all about her. Everybody's here because of her.
I don't think they believe it.
The Love and Miracles tour came about because of this. 2 years ago, my wife says to me, I love marriage ministry, but I don't have a team to support me. She said, you have publicists, you have this whole team ready to support you and do whatever you want to do. I said, you know what? I've heard that for the last time. We're going to release our CD and our book together, and we're going to go on tour. That way, everything I have, you have. The publicist, the team, the whole promotion, you will get the same thing I get. And I believe I'm doing that because I want her to know that her passion means something to me.
Right.
Her vision means something to me. It's awesome to have vision for your life and where you're in your future, but you also need to take into consideration the vision and the dreams of your spouse.
So I want to ask, I want to just gauge the room and see how many, you just yell out if you know what your spouse's passion is.
Video games.
Music?
Counseling.
Counseling?
Decorating.
What was it?
Decorating.
Decorating, yes. I can see that in Miss Mary over there.
Video games.
Video games. Okay.
Praying.
Wow.
Wow.
Intercessor. That's awesome. That's awesome. So let me see, how long y'all been married?
Just like a month now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been saying in every class, we could all use some newlywed juice, because y'all got that fire that some of us don't have yet.
And this is her mom.
Oh, awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So do you know what each other's passion is?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
She likes the medical, so anything that has to do with the medical field.
Okay.
That's her.
That's awesome. So I'm going to actually make it you all's mission and assignment to support whatever this is that your spouse's passion is. Just like, it doesn't even have to be on the level. I'm not telling you to go on tour with it. You can go on a prayer tour if you want to. We need some prayer warriors. And you can certainly go on a decorating tour if you want to, because I'm sure you get some good
You can
clients.
start at our house.
Yes, exactly. But I want you to find a way to support whatever it is that your spouse's passion is for the rest of the year. Support each other in whatever endeavor it is that your spouse is trying to live out. I can guarantee you it will make a difference in your household. Because who doesn't want someone to feel like, oh, they got me, they're covering me, and they're interested in my life? And we all want to feel that way. And it's just like I said, it's two servants. Two servants helping each other makes the best and the longest lasting marriages. And you can't be a servant and be selfish at the same time. That's the difference between servants and slaves. Slaves don't have a choice. They were told to do what to do. They were shackled. They were all that. Didn't have a choice. Servants do it willingly. So that's what you need to do in your marriage. You need to willingly support each other's ventures, willingly support each other. And it'll make for a happy home, I guarantee it.
So we have this book. It's called A Miracle Marriage. And we call it a miracle marriage because obviously what has happened in our lives is a miracle. We talked about how we went through a really bad season. And we went from that to now being marriage counselors. How does that happen? It's a miracle. There's no other way to explain it. So we call it a miracle marriage, but the amazing thing is we always think that a miracle is just light from heaven and all of a sudden everything changes, but that's not the case. There are some steps you have to take for your miracle to take place. Even in everything that happened in the Bible, every miracle that Jesus performed, the person who received the miracle had to do something first. So in our case, we had to do something for a miracle to happen in our marriage. So what we did was we shared a few points, a few things that we did, a few things we improved upon to have our miracle happen. One being communication. We had to improve the way we talk to each other. And second being forgiveness, and third being trust. Those are three things we had to work on to improve our marriage. Communication for us was a big thing because she didn't know how to talk to me.
I didn't. I always say, let me interject that. I always say that I've always been the type of girl who could run my mouth. Could never fight. Never, ever, ever. Could not back it up. So I always had friends around me that could fight so that I could talk and then I can run. If somebody started throwing something, I can run and then my friends would fight for me. But I've learned how to, well, it took a long time, but when we first got married, whenever something was wrong, my mouth would just go, 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 go. And I was not paying attention to really what I was saying and how I was saying it. You know, we all good for a good comeback or clap back. That's what they call it. Everybody want a good clap back. Well, clapping back in your marriage don't work because you could leave the person that you clapping back with at work or something like that. But clapbacks in your marriage, you gotta live with this person. And words can be just as damaging as a physical punch in the face. So clapbacks don't work in marriages. And if you two are just going at each other, nobody's gonna win. We both lose if we're just gonna continue to go back and forth with each other. So yeah, go ahead with communication. I just had to interject that.
This is our communication.
Yeah.
Also, what I've learned is, especially for me, there's 10 different ways you can say things and get 10 different reactions. It can be the same sentence. Like, you look nice today. That's a nice way. You look nice today. You look nice today. Like, you can say it 10 different ways and get all different types of reactions. So we've learned it's not only important what you say, but how you say it, when you say it, what not to say, and when not to say something that is needed to be said. Because sometimes you need to say something, but it's the wrong time.
Yeah.
Like for me, I didn't say things I needed to say. Like in my head, like, oh, she looked good today. What comes out of my mouth is, you ready yet? Because, you know, some things we just assume that the person that you're with knows how you feel. There were so many assumptions that we were making. I assumed she knew how much I loved her. I assumed she knew that I would support her visions and her dreams. But if I didn't tell her and show her through my actions, she would never know. And I'm taking her for granted. That's what we learned not to do. I've learned to be expressive in my feelings. Not only the good stuff, but the bad stuff too, but learn how to say it. If there were some things I needed to tell her, like, I would appreciate if you said that to me differently. I would appreciate if you didn't talk to me like I was your son.
Yeah.
And she accepted it, but if I was like, stop talking to me like a kid. You know what I mean? That is a totally different reaction. And then we just start battling with each other. And I'm telling you, verbal abuse is just as strong, if not stronger, than physical abuse. Because the bruises from a physical abuse can go away. The bruises from words can stay around forever. I can remember some of the things that were said to me 20 years ago. Words hurt, words stay. So watch how you talk to each other.
Yeah. But you were gonna say something about forgiveness too.
I was?
Yes.
And that communication.
So forgiveness for me was a stronghold. I saw my sister last night, Sadell. Y'all remember Sadell?
I know.
Sadell's my middle sister, but all of the Hairstons, the whole Hairston family, we were known for holding grudges. I mean, we were proud of it. You know, you messing with a Hairston, you can forget it. You know, we don't speak to you after that. And And what I learned is that was messing me up not only in my marriage, but in all of my relationships. Because if you don't learn how to forgive, yeah, you can hold the person that you've not forgiven accountable, but you're also holding on to the pain you felt that they gave to you. So I'm telling you, like, me and Trina could have an argument. I could argue with her right now about something that happened 10 years ago. I could be passionate about it right now, like it just happened. But I'm also bringing back all those feelings I felt when I was hurt 10 years ago. So if I didn't learn how to forgive, I wasn't releasing her, but I wasn't releasing myself either. Forgiveness is one of the most important parts of any relationship. And you have to be able to forgive and forget. And it's not forgetting the action, it's forgetting the pain. Because it's the pain that hurts you, it's not the action.
How many people think it's possible to forgive and forget? I mean, you can be honest. Yeah, it's hard to forget, and it takes time. But what I've learned is, because the enemy is going to try to bring those thoughts to your mind. That's his job. He's never going to stop trying to remind you of how bad somebody else treated you. But when those thoughts come in your mind, you have a responsibility. And I don't ever want you to think, oh, I'm remembering because he did that to me. I have to keep it fresh because this is what happened. No, that's not what God wants you to do with those memories. Now, God gave us the gift of having a memory, but I believe that is more so for precautionary reasons and not so much for it to just resonate and just stay there. The reason why go ahead.
It's more like forgive and let go.
Yes.
Yeah,
You know,
I'd agree.
you know, let go of you forgive that person, but let go of those feelings.
Yeah,
You know, so those feelings will have to go away. You know, and it's like forgetting, but it's making yourself say, okay, soon that feeling come up, it's dead, it's gone.
Yeah.
That's back there.
and see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
When the feeling comes up, don't stay there.
Right?
Yeah.
So many
Let
people
it go.
get comfortable in an uncomfortable position. And we're talking to my mother about people who suffer from depression and things like that, anxiety. It's because they find comfortability in thoughts, in thinking about what happened. I can actually remember times when we were going through that I would actually lay down to think. You ever heard somebody say, I just got to get away and just think for a minute? That's a very dangerous place to be. Sometimes it's helpful if you need a plan or if you need to, figure out which way you're going to go. But to just think about all the hurt that somebody caused you just for like being in that mental space, that does not help with that process. The Bible tells us to think on things that are lovely, think on things that are just, and things that have a good report. Those are the things that we are supposed to stay in. That's the area you're supposed to live in. You're not supposed to live in the area of, they did this wrong to me, and I remember feeling this way, and I still feel it to this day. That's not helping the forgiveness process at all. So anytime, it may be with your marriage, it may be with any relationship you have, somebody that's done you wrong. Don't allow yourself to be comfortable in the place of remembering what that was. Because eventually, just like you said, that hurt will go away. But if you're just refreshing yourself of it, of course it's going to stay there and it's going to stay fresh. But I can honestly say, after all that we've been through, there are things that I don't remember. It's because I won't allow myself to remember. When I feel my mind going a certain way, I told him, for every bad memory that we have, we're going to create a new good memory. So if he's in a headspace where he's thinking about something, or the enemy brought something to his mind of something that I did in the past, first of all, he knows to pray. And then secondly, we put our action behind that by, let's go to the park. Let's do something fun. Let's do something creative so that he'll have something to counteract that bad memory. We can put something over top of that so that he doesn't have that bad memory. And eventually, you will forget what it is that happened if you don't keep on refreshing yourself of it.
Now, you said something, and we're trying to move quickly. You said something about building new memories. So what we decided to do to help build trust, because trust, like we said, is one of the other things you have to do to have a strong foundation in marriage. We build healthy habits. Healthy habits that are good for your marriage. It may not work in our marriage. We might do things that you all think are dumb. For example, when First Cathedral, I love this church. It used to take me about 50 minutes to get from here to my house in Seymour when we lived in Seymour. I would call her as soon as I pulled out of the parking lot and talk to her the whole time until I got to the garage in Seymour. That was our time to talk. I didn't answer. I didn't click over. I didn't answer any other phone calls. We built a healthy habit of having that conversation that no one else could interject in. We still do it now. That was a habit we built when I was here. Now we do it in Maryland. Wherever I go, when I'm driving, I talk to her only. Now, also, when I spend time overseas, I put my phone on FaceTime, we FaceTime each other, and I go to sleep. So literally, it's like we're sleeping together even though she's in a whole other continent. Somebody else may think that's absolutely stupid, but it's what works for our marriage. Find something that works for your marriage that you both can agree that it's your time. Because you're going to have to do something to overcome any situations that will defy your trust. Because trust is something that you need to have. I need to know that I'm in Africa, I don't got to worry about my wife. The Olivers!
Livy! Oh my goodness! You said the Olivers. I'm like, Livy! It's no longer about you anymore when there's kids around. So, yeah, I think we're probably out of time. Yeah, we are, because it's 6:45. But does anyone have any questions or anything like that for us, maybe about our life, or just something you want to express, maybe something we said that touched you in any kind of way? No?
I just want to thank you guys for sharing your journey
Thank you.
and for being role models, and we just love you always.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We love you all too. You really do.
I think that I like to just say that it took you guys a short amount of time to find yourself. It took me a little bit longer, you know, but we've been together for almost 40-something years.
Wow, that's amazing.
And the sticking together part is important, you know, no matter how much. But what really, really clicked was when you started not being selfish. You started thinking about the other person.
Right.
So we found each other where we had a really, really good place a little bit much later, you know.
Yeah.
So now you guys found it while you're this young. Oh man, y'all got some great years ahead.
Oh,
Oh my God. Y'all found it right here now. You know, so at our 35th year maybe, we finally said, oh, at our 35th year.
That's encouraging to hear that.
You know, so it took a while, and so we just through all the stress, through all the things, you know, that we went through. We definitely went through a bunch, you know, but we stayed together. Yeah. For me, I was like turmoil, you know, so, and we stayed together, but knowing that you guys are there now and you get there now, that's great, because a lot of young people need to hear that, because they look at us and you're old. And I said, yeah, but when we were young, you know, if we had some of this stuff, we'd be even better.
Right.
So it's good that you guys can bring it on so that people at young ages can say that marriage is good.
Yeah.
It's all
so
right.
true.
You know, you don't have to, you know, it's like you say, you don't have to go grocery shopping. No, I don't like this, let's take it back to the store and get a new one.
That's right.
Right,
You know?
right.
So
Right.
the young people are doing a lot of that now, and they're just hurting themselves and hurting the institution.
Yeah.
You know, so it's good to have young people, and even the young people here that are married and hanging on.
Right.
You know, so just hang in there. It gets better.
Yeah,
And that's the thing.
It does.
We wanted to share that. Now, even for the young couples that are just getting married.
Yeah.
And they all they see is Instagram. So you see everybody booed up and like, you know, goals. So if it doesn't feel like that, what you see, you feel like, well, I must be in a bad relationship. I got to get to a new one. But that's not the case. You're not putting your arguments on Instagram.
Right.
So, you know, people assume it's either great or terrible, great or get out. And that's not the case. If you're in a situation where it doesn't feel good right now, it's not about your feelings. It's about your commitment. You got to love and cherish, honor your commitment. And I can tell you right now, at 25 years, I love her more than I did at 1 year.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen.
Thank God.
Amen.
Thank God for that. I'm not doing that bad of a job something, huh?
Yes, sir.
You said something earlier about how younger people don't want to get married now. What do you guys do to help encourage people who may be afraid to get married to get married? I mean, your story is awesome because of how you guys got married and you stayed with it.
Yeah.
I think someone that's been together a couple of years or 1 year may want to do it. So what are some of the things you do to maybe encourage someone?
I just really tell people, don't believe what you see on Instagram and on social. This Instagram social media age is so dangerous, because I think people are afraid because of what they see. Not only that,
Right.
people are afraid because of what they see in their own household. A lot of people haven't seen healthy marriages, and marriages last a really long time. So then they become bitter and upset because of maybe what happened to their parents. Like if a female has saw her mother go through years of trauma and years of hurt, then she becomes hesitant to then want to get married herself. But you, just like he was saying, what works good for one household doesn't have to be the standard for your household. You have to know that this is my lifetime partner, and I am going to be that. I'm going to have that servant mentality, and I am going to make sure that my spouse is good, and my spouse is going to make sure that I am good. And then I don't like to use the word afraid, but I do know that some people are afraid of getting married. But fear in of itself is just not anything that we should base our decisions on. So I kind of just tell people, don't be afraid to get married. Now, do you want to make sure? Do you want to be, go through that premarital counseling and everything so that you know what you're getting involved in? Absolutely. And if there are any red flags at that point, then you can kind of reserve and push that date off. But I encourage people to get married because we need more strong marriages. People need to see that this really does work. And I always say, if you pay attention to media, the enemy is trying to redefine marriage.
That's right.
And he's setting a standard, and he's poking holes at the standard that we have. So then all that looks right is what the enemy sets up and not what God has set up. So now we have to be the standard, and we have to show people what good marriages look like.
I just tell guys, every dude, I'm like, it's the best commitment I could have ever made. The best decision I could have ever made in my life was marrying this woman.
So question, you didn't have premarital.
No.
So when y'all hit all those rocky patches and all that stress that, what turned the ship around? Mid-marriage counseling?
Well,
It wasn't even really counseling. I don't
So
think.
we did do counseling, but I promise you, so this is probably the strangest story.
No, we got a lot of strange stories.
I'm at a women's conference. I have no business at a women's conference. I'm sitting at this women's conference.
God blocked it.
And Pastor Cheryl Brady is speaking. And she's talking about the story of Noah and everything he went through, how the situation was rocky, the boat was rocky, and yet still he's traveling in this boat. And at the end of the story, there's one of the most simple scriptures in the Bible said, and God remembered Noah. And she said, God has not forgotten you. He has not forgotten your situation. He has not forgotten the situation you put yourself in and that he told you to go into. But he has favor for you at the end of the road. And he told me, God spoke to me as clear as day and said, you're ignoring your favor. I was like, what in the world does that mean? And he said, you're ignoring your favor. You're ignoring your wife. Go get your relationship back together. So I was like, okay, what does that mean? That's when we started taking the steps. I went and told my wife, we're going to have to get our relationship back together. I told my son, so we're separated now. We live in two different places. My son's having the time of his life. I got all the video games in my house. She got all the food at her house. Yeah, he has a perfect life. So I'm thinking like this is the way he wants the rest of his life. I told my son, starting today, our lives are going to change. Me and your mom are getting back together. He laid on my chest and started crying. I'm thinking he's loving life. You got the best of both worlds. He wanted one world.
Right, right.
So after that, we started taking the steps that we talked about in the book. And here we are today. So that's why our music changed. Everything changed from that one message I heard at a women's conference.
See, sometimes people need to hear from God for themselves. And it was no longer my job to keep on fussing at him, to keep on telling him what to do, to keep on asking him to come home. I had to allow JJ, and I'll say men for the most part, to be who they need to be so that God can tell him what to do. My job at that point was to lead him back to Christ in my actions. It wasn't to lead him back to Trina. It was to lead him back to Christ, because Christ would inevitably lead him back to me. And I think for so long, women have become the fixers. We want to tell them what to do. We want to tell, oh, you should be doing this, or you should be doing that, you should be doing this. No. Point them back to the source, the person who created them, the person who can answer all of their problems and all their questions. And then God directed him back to me. Yeah.
So that's what happened.
Amen.
You see who talks the most in this relationship.
So in our book, right, every chapter has like 10 pages of Trina talking and me talking for 2. But I think that's about right.
Yeah.
Women are very expressive. They have It don't take us a lot of time to say what we gotta say.
That's right.
So
I don't understand that.
I've
never understood
just wired different.
exactly,
We wired different, man.
I appreciate the way she speaks, and sometimes I just let her go, and I was like, you know what? That's what I believe it. Boom, conversation over.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so great about our relationship.
That's what you get. You're at 40.
It is so true.
Okay, anyway. Any more questions?
Well, I have a comment.
Sure.
You said something in regards to serving each other in a marriage. And I can remember the time that kind of thinking was kind of foreign to me, because I came up in the corporate, that
Yeah.
kind of atmosphere. But now, before I even came here, it was in my heart and in my soul to say that very same thing.
Wow.
Serving one another when you're married is how your marriage grows.
Exactly.
And I was so pleased when you said
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
Amen.
thank you. That's
Thank
just
you.
confirmation. Yeah, marriage works best when two people are serving each other. You can't be selfish in your marriage. And you just have to trust and believe. Like, if both of you are doing what it takes to fulfill each other, then there's no lack.
Right.
There's no room to search for anywhere else. If I'm taking care of him and he's taking care of me, then that closes the door to any other attachment to anywhere else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We got 3 minutes, and I know Archbishop gonna pray, and we gotta stop.
No, it's a quick comment. One of the things that I remember you saying in an interview, I saw it maybe sometime last year, when you're traveling, Jay, right? And you said the reason that you have your wife with you, number one, yes, she's your support, but I'll never forget it, and I appreciate it because it's one of the things that I strive to do as well, given where God is leading me. You said she's not only your support, but she's your covering.
That's right.
Because as men, we see our minds are running 1,000,000 miles a minute, and we don't always see things, or we don't always pay attention a lot of times to the little things, right? And with the wife,
They see it.
They see
it all.
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah,
So,
everything.
So
And Ollie doesn't
well,
miss
I'm out.
anything.
No,
I know
no,
Ollie. She don't
no.
miss nothing.
But, it hit home because even when I'm out speaking and traveling and whatnot, she'll say something on the ride home or whatever, and I'm like, okay. It
even
didn't
see
dawn
it.
on me. So,
Right.
I appreciate that, and that definitely resonates with me.
Let me tell you something. You know why y'all don't hear no mess with my name in it?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, because if it was some mess with me in it,
Then I was a
she
part
would
of
get into
it.
it.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
I keep my wife with me because, like Eli said, we get to travel a lot of places. People see us all over. And it's so easy for things to go left so quick.
Right.
And people can take one conversation, one Instagram post, one picture that looks a little strange and say, oh, you heard JJ doing this. So that's why you'll see Trina on the right-hand side. Because you'll never be able to see me in a compromised situation. Now, I think we don't have to do it as much as before because we made it such a precedent that our marriage is first. So people don't really try me like they used to. But initially, you know, when we said this is what we're doing, of course people are like, yeah, we'll see if this is what you're doing. Now we've proven, no, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
We together.
It's funny that we live in a world today that are looking for what you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
They're trying to spot what you're
There
doing.
was a bishop/gospel artist. A bishop/gospel artist. We're at this restaurant that has a bar in it. He said, I'm gonna take a picture of JJ at the bar. We're gonna catch him doing something.
They're looking for him to do something wrong. Yeah.
Okay, I don't drink, so you know.
Yeah.
We had a newlywed question. Then we gotta get to CC.
If you guys could give your younger self any advice about dealing with your finance early in your marriage, what would you
Did you say finance?
No. We're gonna deal with that the next That's volume 2.
That's another book, man.
Trina's a lot better with money than she used to be, but she used to be terrible with money.
I might still be borderline terrible. I'm not saying I'm totally the
God
good
has
yet.
provided. Trust
But
me.
what I will tell you, because we did get a question about a couple who was contemplating whether to spend money on a wedding or something like that, or whether to save. Please save money.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you want that is tangible or whatever it is, it'll come at the appropriate time. But save your money. Get yourself established. You know, and if you're gonna invest, let it be in your own home or something like that. But save your money. Now, if I had to give advice on my younger self, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
Save your money, and don't keep no secrets about accounts and stuff like that. I mean, like I said, we say all this, but you have to do what's good for your household.
Yeah.
But there's no secrets on our accounts. Both of our names are on the accounts. Well, I think I gotta add his name. It was so funny.
Her name's on my money.
Funny. He called the bank one day and they wouldn't speak to him. They was like, "Is Mrs. Hairston there?" He was like, "It's
My money.
That was so great to me."
Well, let me tell you, the one thing I would tell myself is now, if I could go back and tell myself at 20, credit means more than money.
Oh, absolutely.
So do not do
Don't jack up
anything
your
that will
credit.
affect your credit.
Yeah, pay your bills.
You can get a great house with no money, but you can get a shack with a whole lot of money in bad credit. Credit is everything for marriage when it comes to your finances. Another question over here, CC?
Well, it wasn't necessarily a question, it's just a comment. I've known you guys for years.
Yeah.
And I've seen before up until now, and it's just amazing to see the transition and the process. And even with being in the home and Trina just pouring into me, like, you know, make sure that the kids call dad if he's not home and just, you know, encourage him. And so I just, so I just appreciate and see the growth, and I appreciate it and everything that you guys pour into me so that I can try to get it.
Thank you, C.
Thank you,
You know
CC.
we love you, Gigi.
Thank you all so much. We're going to go downstairs. I'm sure Archbishop has prayed already. I'm hoping